train. We're traveling through Italy. I can hardly believe I'm here on the Eurorail with Milton sitting next to me. He goes over here. I can look out of the window of the train, and the other side reflects the sunlight against the window and the shadow, and I'm so in love, and what's real, and what is shadow, and what are dreams, really, what are they? And then, you know how it is on trains, the motion starts to lull you, and you go into that state. Or I'm thinking about love, because I always wanted to be in an Italian movie. Love, good food. He's not Italian, Milton, he's Jewish. We already moved in together. It's only like our 7th date. We had our first fight while we were taking the ferry across the English Channel. And I don't really know if we were in English waters or French waters when we had that fight. But the fight was about sex. So it was probably English waters. It wasn't really about sex, it was during sex, where all of a sudden, you know, we were having sex in a ferry, like a ferry, another kind of moving vehicle. What could be better? A ferry, sex, water. But it was getting really good, and then all of a sudden, he left me, and I was building. As the train was coming in the station, it was the ferry though, and I was building and building, and he came, just like that. And there I was, left. Anyway. I'm hoping being on moving vehicles is not going to break up our new romance, because we're going to be on a lot of them now that we're traveling around in Europe. See, the train's still moving on this computer, so you know I'm really on the train. We're supposed to move around. Okay. So anyway, we moved into my apartment, and I sort of liked that because he was going to be in Europe for 10 days, and I'm going to be in Europe for a month, and I needed someone to take care of my dog, Yedel. Her real name is Yehudi Yedel, which means little black dog or bear. If you're Swedish and you ask me if that's Swedish, I'll say yes, but if you ask me if it's Hungarian, I'll say yes, or some people think it sounds like Hebrew. I don't know, I just made it up. Anyway, he wouldn't live with me unless I promised to marry him. And so I thought if he took care of my dog well, I'd think about it, but I said yes, sort of, because I never thought marriage was a good idea when I watched people growing up. Anyway, I'm drifting and dreaming and thinking about, am I really going to marry him? But I'm so in love. Sure, I'll try it. I want to be a marriage family therapist. It would look good on my resume. This Italian woman comes in. She walks down the aisle. Her face is very drawn, and she's very heavy. She's heavy and she's slumped over. She sits opposite me and looks at me. She's like, oh, and I said, my best Italian. And then she starts talking, and then she gets more animated. And she goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. I say, yeah, And then I nod my head and I look at her face and I'm like, I'm in her movie now. And I imagine she's telling me about a wedding that's going to happen. Her daughter's getting married. And they're going to have a big spread, you know, the kind I always wanted to be at, the big Italian dinners. And they're going to have all the foods. Everybody's going to be talking and dancing. It's not going to be fighting. It's going to be really fun. And she's upset about it. She says, Bachina, Fascina, Mamancina, bananas. And shoo, I think maybe she doesn't like the groom to be because he eats bananas or something. They don't eat bananas in Italy. I don't really know. Anyway, I'm getting a nice break from my life because now I'm in hers. And I was comfortable with that because my father was Hungarian, and when I grew up, everybody talked in Hungarian and other languages, and I was fine with that. Anyway, she talks for an hour, and then the train pulls into this rural station, and she looks at me, and she's smiling now. She's not heavy, she's smiling. And she comes over, and she gives me a big kiss on my cheek, and she leaves. And I thought, oh, I did very good in that one. And then Milton looks at me. You don't speak Italian, do you? No, but similarities. But you didn't know what she was saying. Well, I sort of understood her telepathically, you know. I knew when to say and everything, and I said in Italian. And then he got really mad at me and said, you were duping her. You were tricking her. You were terrible to do that. That was an awful thing to do. You were lying to her. And so I said, well, she seemed happier afterwards. And I sat there, and I enjoyed my scene in her movie, and I didn't let it make me feel bad, which was good for me. And then I realized I loved Milton. I had loved him at first sight. And he was the person who really wanted to marry me. But he was starting to become like my mother. My mother always made me wrong. Which is why I brought the ukulele.
30 seconds.
My mother didn't make me wrong when I practiced my flute, but I don't have my flute with me because my face isn't working right. So I brought a ukulele, and I'm just going to strum it to show you that I just got the ukulele. There, and I have a little, you want to sing? If you're feeling down, wanna look around, see all the beauty you can see. Then you can find it, you can change your mind and become all the beauty that you see. Or you'll feel better after strumming the ukulele. Here's your part. That's easy, isn't it? Oh.